Hello everyone, Lucoshi, and welcome back to another video of Dierenpark Genk. Finally! It's been another half year since the last episode. Seems to be a trend with these episodes, but that doesn't make them special. And this one is special because of a number of reasons. First of all, it's 30 minutes long. Yes, sorry about that. And it's not even sped up 8 times like the last few speed builds. I sped this up 12 times like all of my other videos. So it's as fast as it could be, because any faster is just insane. But yes, this took me many hours to build. And that's also why it's this late that I actually uploaded. Because what you're seeing right now is footage from all the way back in July 2018. This build has been a long time coming, and it was mostly finished for a long time, but it just couldn't finish it. I didn't know what to do because something was missing, and I didn't know what, and in the end I decided that no, there wasn't anything missing, and all that was missing was just the surrounding foliage, which just made it complete. For me at least. This exhibit is the result of 2 things. 3 things actually. 1, someone suggesting a Gerenuk exhibit on my channel. 2, the Egyptian Zoo series we had a long time ago corrupting, the save game corrupting, and thus me no longer being able to continue that zoo. And 3, me going to a holiday in Egypt to the temples we are trying to recreate in this exhibit. Because what you're seeing right now is me messing around with the pillars and soon to be the panels to create a temple resembling the temple of Kom-Ombo in Egypt itself. You saw me using the weird chain link gate object, and I did that to measure the distance between the pillars to make sure they are aligned correctly and along the same the same length. And now you see me doing crazy stuff. We wanted to make the pillars, but I wanted to make them detailed, like actual Egyptian pillars. Now of course we don't have hieroglyphics, and I'm not going to add objects like I did in the Egyptian Zoo series, where I just made my own panels with a hieroglyphics texture. And why don't we do that? Because I want to make stuff on this channel which you guys potentially could also create in your own game. Because otherwise there is no use in watching the speed builds and the time lapses if you couldn't make it yourself. You watch these videos to learn stuff. I think so, at least. So that's why I sorry, wow, I don't know. We're 3 minutes in, I have a long time to go. Yes, what was I saying? I want only to use stuff which everyone can use. So I try to limit my personal use downloads to a minimal, which mostly comes down to Foliage. And that is just because, yeah, I do want to create pretty stuff, and foliage can be easily changed into other foliage. And honestly, I'm not sure whether the foliage is available to everyone or not. They are available on the Maremba Discord server, so if you want cool foliage, come get it over there. Little trade secret. But let's talk about the temple again. There's not a whole lot to talk about, only that it took me a long time. It's pretty straightforward how they work, just different layers of elevated paths with different pillars on them. And then after that, just making the elevated path itself invisible, so you have floating pillars. But we got 2 problems with that, because the bottom of these pillars are hollow, you can see through it, so it becomes a mess, and that's logical because Sophie didn't intend us to use these pillars in the air. So that was kind of a problem, but luckily the panels do have a bottom, so I just cover it up with those. The real crazy stuff starts happening right now with the top of the temple. Because as you probably know, these Egyptian temples have a rim surrounding the top. And we created those out of hundreds of thousands of panels. Which took us a long time. But I got used to it by now because I did it in the Egyptian Zoo series. And I did it twice for this build. Because as you see in the thumbnail, that is not this temple. We are building 2 temples in this episode. Hence why it's 30 minutes long, because we also have to make an exhibit. That also seems to be important. The exhibit is for Gerenuks and Dorcas Gazelles. I'm not sure if I said that already. But we're doing Gerenuks because I like Gerenuks and I've never built an exhibit for them. And I've never really seen a cool exhibit done for them, I think. And Dorcas Gazelles, I didn't even know they existed, so you might as well. I started off wanting to make an exhibit for Gerenuks, but then I found out, oh wait, Gerenuks don't live in Egypt anymore. So I added the Dorcas Gazelles to give it a pass. Because Gerenuks look kind of Egyptian, I guess. I was thinking about throwing giraffes in this exhibit, but decided against it because I have plans for a bigger giraffe exhibit. So you'll see that in 2021 probably. But yes, because Zoo Antwerp in Belgium has a giraffe exhibit with a kind of Egyptian temple theme around it, which is really cool. So that could have worked. Could absolutely have worked, but I wanted Gerenuks and Dorcas Gazelles in here. Giraffes are supposed to be in a savannah, in my eyes, not in the weird exhibit we are building today. Because people, as you know, Dierenpark Genk is about very strong challenges every single exhibit. Every single exhibit we are tackling something I am not good at in Zoo Tycoon 2. For this exhibit, that was building without lots of detailing. And I know that sounds weird because all we've been doing so far is a very detailed temple, because but the exhibit itself is not very detailed. It mostly relies on sheer size and elevation and stuff. Because that's something I saw Maximus do on the round table. Maximus is an amazing builder, dare I say, maybe even the best, or at least one of the best ever in Zoo Tycoon 2, in my opinion. And I have learned so much from watching his stuff. And in this episode, that is just the way he builds savannas. He makes savannas by just using the textures of grass and not adding any grass himself, which is just insane because normally everyone just fills their exhibits with grass and foliage and stuff to make it interesting. But Maximus manages to still make it interesting without all of that. And how does he do that? Well, he does that by very smart terraining and very, very realistic terraining. And by creating context to the area, which is also very important. Because if you have a very large exhibit, it doesn't really matter if you have lots of details. You still need to have details, of course, but the extreme little details become distracting once you get a really, really big exhibit. And then you can get away with using more general stuff. But that's a very vague story, and it will become much clearer once we actually get to the exhibit. Because right now you see me using the detailed grasses again, so I'm kind of contradicting myself. Yes. We also focus on viewing points in Dierenpark Genk, and right here is one of the viewing points which I'm trying to make perfect at this moment. As you can see right now, I'm very tedious about placing the rocks. I want them to be just right, and the foliage as well. So yes, I started making a lantern out of various objects, which is weird but kinda cool, I guess. I like making new stuff which has not been done before, and I think that is what this lantern is as well. Doesn't mean that it's good looking, but it's original, and that's worth something. But yes, this is very much a theme park kind of thing, where you create points of view where the visitors walk by, which are just the exact way something is supposed to be seen. We also have that for the exhibit in a while when it is actually done. We have one viewing point. We have 3 viewing points for this exhibit, which are marked by the red, and then in between the bottom red viewing point and the temple, we build a little structure which shows you the ideal viewing points for the big temple, which is just a picture place for the visitors. People can take a picture with their family or just of the exhibit from there, and it would look at its best. Now, here we are building the second temple, which is actually inside of the exhibit, and it is supposed to resemble the Temple of Karnak in Egypt, which in my opinion is the most beautiful temple over there. At least it's the most beautiful temple I've ever seen, and it's just spectacular. So I tried to do it justice, which I hope I kinda did. This temple is also just the stable for the Gerenuks and the Dorcas Gazelles, so that's cool. I will, straight up front, I will say I did not build the stable, but it's supposed to be there. Why didn't I build the stable? One, out of fear of screwing up the entire temple, because this temple took me way too long to build and I didn't want to mess it up. 2, because you don't see the stable anyway. And 3, because I had no idea how I would ever start making a stable in this building, so it's supposed to be there. Okay? We are viewing this exhibit as a visitor. We don't see the backstage stuff. I know I'm just lazy, but let's act as if that is actually the case. So once again, here I did actually first make a frame out of the walls, but I think I deleted them later on, and it's just made out of pillars, and just pillars. You also see me placing small walls around the temples, and that is just a safety precaution, because I start messing with the terrain like I always do in a second, and I did not want the temples to be messed up, because I use elevated paths a lot and lots of pillars, and if you just offset the ground a little bit, you can mess up the entire build. And if that happened, I would have cried. Because this took me so long, but I am really happy with the outcome. I think it's something very special and unique. I know it sounds narcissistic and egocentric, but every now and then I can be proud of myself, okay? I want to try to make it still a little bit detailed, the temple, so we have these little indents at the front, which the actual temples also have. And from the air they work, you can clearly see there are indents, but from the ground you don't really see it. So that's a shame, but that's mostly down to the Zoo Tycoon 2 lighting system, which is just a shame. If we had an amazing lighting system in this game, it would be perfect, but the game would be perfect, not the build. But yes, we have to make do, and I still think it gets the point across. It's better than just having a straight building. Because as you can see, we have these slopes, which is why we use the pillars to create these slopes for the sides of the building, because if we just had a straight wall, it would not look like an actual Egyptian temple, because these Egyptian temples also are built slanted, so they have a thicker base than the top, and it gradually gets smaller towards the top, which just looks amazing, and in game it also looks cool, but you have to do it with these pillars, which kind of makes it look Minecrafty, but that does make sense, because anything I ever do in Minecraft is building Egyptian stuff. Not that I play Minecraft anymore. I used to do that a lot, which has helped my Zoo Tycoon 2 building a whole bunch, just like Planet Coaster has helped me. It just helps you look at objects as shapes and colors instead of the intended objects, and lets you get very creative with it. Which is what I like doing in Zoo Tycoon as well. Creating new stuff. Like this temple. Okay, thanks for watching so far. We are halfway through the build. And we are almost done with the temples. We can almost start with the actual exhibit. So if you came here for the exhibit and not for the weird temples, then I hope you are still skipping through. You have a little bit more time to go. I'm sorry for having to waste your time, but this is what I like most. I like building buildings more than exhibits most of the time. So, sorry, but welcome to my channel. Yes, also for the side I wanted these pillars with a base on top of it. So more of a small version of the bigger temple, the combo temple kind of thing we built to the right. I guess it kind of looks Roman/Greek, but they're all from the same region, so that does make sense. And I mean, they're pillars. Pillars are a pretty universal thing. Yeah. The temple is pretty small, honestly. When compared to the animals, it is big, but it is not as big as I would have liked. Because it seems small because it's so far away, but that caused us to get another little challenge, which was forced perspective. Wow, I'll try that again. Which was forced perspective. Thank you. Yes, forced perspective. We tried to do that with the foliage surrounding it. And how did we do that? Well, the foliage closer to the visitors is very big and very high. And towards the temple, it gets smaller and a bit more sunk into the ground, which fakes the idea that it is farther away, the temple. So people will think it's farther away, which will make the exhibit look bigger and also make the temple look bigger. Aha, smart. It kind of works. But yeah, of course it isn't perfect, and it is kind of visible that the foliage lines go down, but oh well, it's better than if it was just a straight line, because as you know, I do not like straight lines, as you can tell. I like organic stuff, which is odd to say because I make these temples which are completely straight lines, but yeah, that's different, okay? That's very different. They get a pass because they're temples, and they're supposed to be like that. But yes, that's the temples done, I think. We can finally start with the actual exhibit, which is huge. And I had no idea what to do for the exhibit, because I think right now we are in like September, October of 2018, in the video wise. So yes, and we finally started work on the exhibit, which I put off for a long time. I built the temples first in like 2 days, maybe 3. And then it took me a long time before I started the actual exhibit. And then it took me a long time to actually finish the exhibit. And then it took me a long time to actually upload the video and make the video and edit it and yada yada yada. So, I wanted the exhibit to feel very Nile-like, but I didn't want it to be a cliché Egyptian sandbank. I wanted it to be very lush. Because Egypt also has very lush stuff. And these temples, some of these temples were actually close to the Nile River, like the Luxor Temple and another one I can't remember right now. But, well, also the Gerenuk Temple is on an island, so... the Gerenuk Temple in real life is also very lush, and I think that fits it very well. Because if you think about Egypt, you don't think about the very lush Nile River banks, you think about the sands and the pyramids and stuff, and the very grey-brownish colors, the beige of the sands. So I wanted to break that cliché in this exhibit. So we used lots of tropical trees, we used palm trees, and very lush green stuff. Oh, this exhibit is the exhibit which sparked my love for the coastal grass texture. The grass texture of Radical Remix coastal biome is so amazing. It looks fantastic. It looks way better than the actual grassland texture, in my opinion. Or maybe that's just because it's different from the normal textures, and that's why I like it. But I think it's a really, really cool color, and it looks really nice together with the brown of this dirt I am using. The dirt I'm using is also not the dirt of the grassland. Sorry again. Wow. Okay, back again. We've been talking for 20 minutes, sorry. The sand we are using here is different from the normal grassland sand. This sand is more of a beige, greyish kind of sand, more of a realistic sand, honestly. It's the kind of sand you would see in these builds, not the dirt. Well, I think that's a good distinction between them. This is sand. The grassland texture is dirt, and it's also supposed to be dirt, but I like using sand. I like using both, and in this exhibit we also use both. So you see me tinkering around with the foliage a lot because I had to use a different foliage combination than I normally use. Looking back at it, it looks very much like the combination of the Gharial exhibit of yesterday, but with some added palm trees and stuff, which is cool. It's very different from the rest of the foliage from Dierenpark Genk, which is a good thing. And it's also different from the foliage outside of the exhibit. This exhibit has a very tropical foliage, but surrounding it is just the normal temperate foliage, which really gives this exhibit a separate atmosphere and a separate mood and a separate setting and more words like that. Here we start using the forest perspective thing. You see me lowering the terrain as it gets close to the temple, but not lowering it too much because then it would look like the temple is raised, and that's not what I wanted. But it's just a very subtle thing, but it does help. It does make the temple pop out a bit more, and it does make it also look a bit bigger than it actually is. And truth be told, it's still pretty big, but yeah, it has to be imposing because it has to be a very, very impactful size when you walk towards this exhibit. But yes, honestly, I actually think this foliage combination works pretty well because I spent a lot of time watching the Nile River banks while in Egypt because, well, we were on a cruise on the Nile going towards temples and stuff, so you see a lot of the Nile, and I think this exhibit represents it pretty well, honestly. It gives me the same feeling as the actual Nile, and the same kind of mood-ish, and the same colors, which is also important. Over here I placed down some bushes and stuff with some flowers, just to have a little... I wanted... it makes the transition from the foliage to the temple a bit better. But apart from that, in the big grass space surrounding... in front of the temple, there are no grasses. It's just the textures and some organic height difference and some hills, which make up that. I do not add any detailed grasses because that would just be distracting. And it looks a bit weird to have this very barren and empty piece of land, because that's not something I normally do. So it took some getting used to, and I'm still not entirely sure if it's the best thing I could have done. Maybe I should have added some rocks, maybe I should have added some cliffs, maybe I should have just added trees and shrubs and grasses. But the challenge was to try this. So that's what we did. People, we are nearing the end of the video. Hallelujah. Thank you for still sticking around with me and actually watching it. I hope it isn't too boring, and I hope I am not too boring and I am not annoying you with what I'm saying, because I'm sure most of what I'm saying I am saying 3 times in a row and I'm stumbling over my words a little bit, so bear with me. I'm no professional talker, I'm just doing this because I like doing it. What else are we doing? I think we are nearing the part where we just do the surrounding foliage. Right now we do this right part where the river delta kind of thing slivers off into the foliage, which causes it to be very lush and very interesting looking, which I like. Oh, I also didn't talk about the other river delta to the side, which you don't really see often, but I hope you know what I'm talking about. You have this delta you see right now, a little bit further on. You saw it there for a split second. Just in front of the temple, you also have this, this river delta kind of thing. Just a river. Just to make it more interesting. And that was hard, because that's something I also talked about in the otter speed build the other day. The other day. Well, it's a river on a slope, and that's hard in Zoo Tycoon 2, because you can't make the water go down, obviously. So I had to place different water spots on different heights, but it kind of works. Oh, here we are placing the ideal viewpoint I was talking about. I started off wanting to make a little marketplace stand kind of thing, like we did in the Egyptian zoo. But I decided that 1, it didn't look good, and 2, it didn't fit the rest of the build. So I settled for this kind of construction site thing with different pillars and stuff, and then a little crane, which was stupid, but the idea popped in my mind, and I was like, yeah, let's make a crane. So I tried making a crane in Zoo Tycoon 2, a small one. Another, more of a ancient Egyptian one. It's just scenery. I don't know, I'm not Egyptian. So, that's it. Almost. For the build, it's it, actually. So now we start doing the surrounding foliage. You see me doing that a million times. I get comments saying that these trees sprout extremely fast, and that's true. But that's because it's just automation for me. I just place down stuff, and there isn't a very strict goal or guideline I take when building this stuff. When building the surrounding foliage, I just plop down stuff until it covers the background. The thing I do keep in mind is that I don't want straight lines. I don't want to see multiple trees exactly the same right next to each other. So I raise and lower the terrain a little bit. And I do not want to see the background, so I start with small bushes and then work my way up towards bigger ones. And lately I've been trying to incorporate trees with actual trunks and stuff in there, and actual branches, because that looks way cooler than just a big mass of leaves. But yes, people, that is finally it. 30 minutes. And a lot of hours. But one proud builder who is happy with the result. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this build, and I really hope you enjoy this channel and enjoy me and enjoy the past year of this channel, and let's hope that the coming year will be even more crazy than the year we already had. Once again, thank you everyone for the support. Thank you everyone who made me grow. Thank you everyone who supported me. Thank you everyone who is watching. And everyone from the future who is watching this right now, whilst this video is maybe a year old. Thank you for watching it right now. And yes, finally done. This build was crazy for me because it just took me a long time, and I'm really happy to finally finish it after half a year. And I'm very proud of the result. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'm repeating myself, so I'll just stop. Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.